important ideas that basically come to mind really when we're talking about this is um, what a lot of researchers in the past talked about, our behavioral aspects of learning. How can we basically change our behavior in a way that will make our learners more attracted to what we're doing, and don't undermine really the power of behavior, because whether it's a classroom behavior collectively, or whether it's an individual performance or individual behavior, is mainly driven by two elements: by our expectations and the value that we associate with these expectations. So these, my expectation related to what I want to see, what I want to do, what I want to use the qualifications for afterwards, and whether it's going to basically open plenty of doors for me, so I should do this qualification. But at the same time, is it really doable, or is it not? Is it something that I can? So these two components, the value and the expectation, are basically the key two factors that drive our behavior, whether it's collective behavior or individual behavior. And that behavioral aspect of learning, I think, is crucial, and it's a topic of it's an interesting topic of really rich content of research. I would be more than happy to share afterwards as well if you're interested. So based on these different components, we kind of designed a set of resources or set of qualifications to underpin really that scaffolded approach to learning that we just talked about. And obviously the basis for everything we do really is the CFR, the Common European Framework. We understand that basically people have different skills at different stages of their lives. And obviously when it comes to language acquisition, it's no difference. So that's why we have to start with understanding these key capabilities, and based on that, we develop the relevant resources and materials. So what Cambridge really is so keen on building is that scaffolded journey, or what we call the learning ladder, and supporting learners every step of the way. And that includes really starting with the CFR. As you are familiar, I'm sure a lot of teachers listening to me today are very familiar with the CFR and the Common European Framework, and the levels where we start with pre-A1 to A1, A2, B1, B2, and C1, C2. So what we designed is a set of qualifications that are fit for that model. And obviously, these qualifications are perhaps today ones of the most recognized worldwide. We have more than 25,000 universities, employers, or governments that recognize these qualifications. And that recognition per se is so powerful, because that's really what gives value to the behavioral aspects that I talked about a few minutes ago. I take this qualification not only because I want to show the evidence of my English proficiency, but because this qualification will take me places. And it's really used by more than 50,000 schools in over 100 countries. These figures are amazing, and obviously we're trying really our best to make these qualifications more accessible. And hence the next webinar, I will talk to you about the design, the new features of these qualifications, and how we're shifting to digital as part of that journey of making them more accessible. Now, the design of these qualifications, like I said, is really based on a very important principle, which is measuring the impact and working closer with our teachers worldwide and collecting their feedback. And these qualifications are reviewed constantly, so they're not static documents that sit somewhere. But basically, we're so keen on creating a set of qualifications that will enable learners to change their behavioral aspects favorably of learning a language. And I think that starts with, that goes back to the cultural roots, really, of language acquisition. So if you're thinking about why the basic question, why do we have to learn a language? Why do we have to learn English? Why in a school? Why do I have to learn English? That simple question in the child's mind starting school is so powerful. It's so powerful because the answer to this basic question would tell you their understanding, their motive behind learning a language. And that's why I always encourage teachers to do their own probing and their own understanding and their own data collection, if you like, for more action oriented approach to teaching and learning in the classroom. So driven by the same principle, our qualifications are designed with a positive impact in mind. So we are designing, we're collecting all the pain points that that teachers indicate, and we respond by simply changing or modifying or enriching content in a way that's more responsive. I will talk about some of these qualifications in a minute, but let me just give you an overview. We do have, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar, and I'm sure you are delivering, a lot of these qualifications, but we start with the very basic level of English. We start with pre-A1 starters, what we call them, and it goes to A1, A2, and then B1, B2, and then C1 and C2. So we've got qualifications for each level. So what really drives now the design of these qualifications is the Common European Framework. So if you notice, the title of this qualification, has changed to match the Common European Framework of Reference. In all these qualifications, we tend to cover 4 skills, and each one of them as well, the aim really is to integrate real-life communication skills. So we do have qualifications that start with age 6 all the way to adulthood. And obviously the content is reflected by, or affected very much, as geared towards the right age group. Currently, we do have a paper-based and computer-based, but like I said, next week I'll be talking about Syracuse Digital, which is the newest version of these qualifications, which obviously, as the name implies, insinuates that that there would be a much greater flexibility in these qualifications and how they basically be delivered in your markets. So just a brief look at these qualifications and what they basically cover. So we start with the pre-A1 starters and the A1 movers and the A2 flyers, and they are designed for young learners aged 6 to 12. And I think the key factor here is really the importance of developing confidence to speak or to use the language. In these qualifications, of course, there's no pass or fail, and every child gets a certificate, because obviously that goes into the same approach, which is building confidence rather than awarding grades. There are lots of experiments, and you will probably get a chance to see the digital versions of these qualifications as well coming up soon. And it's very interactive and really reflective of our pedagogy of exams being suitable for the right age group. Excuse me. And obviously, as you can see, in each one of these exams, we have, so what underpins really the design of these assessments is the key, is what we call the can-do statements, which are the skills that are indicated by the CFR as the driving, the underpinning pedagogical base of these qualifications. And obviously we do this for all the skills. So obviously for pre-A1, for example, the concept is to understand simple sentences and write simple words, whereas for the slightly higher levels, we go step by step to understand simple text, to write simple sentences, and then for the flyers A2 to understand short text. So we're adding more skills here for each one of these steps, and the same really applies to the higher levels. And obviously, like I said, all these exams have speaking parts in them. For the young learners, speaking part, we've got trained examiners that basically will conduct these assessments. in a fair and transparent